Hello peoples out there. How's everybody doing? I'm Earl. 44 years experience, not just a mechanic, but engineer. And I have built engines, not race car engines. I've rebuilt engines that already exist, stock. I don't like racing. I don't like waste. But what I'm here for today is to tell people common basics so you'll save a lot of money and to keep you people from being ripped off by these crooked idiots at oil change places. You know, they're very notorious for, they actually destroy cars is all they do. For one thing, when I worked in the oil business, okay, I'm not going to pinpoint exactly who I work for, any of that, but we use color cut gauges, and we could tell, like when there was water in bottoms of tanks, when they change your oil at an oil change place, tell them to put in oil that's out of the bottle and watch them stand outside. They won't let you stand in their shop because of insurance, which I can understand, but stand outside and watch them unscrew the bottle tops and pour it in your engine. The reason why, underground tanks get condensation, they get water in them. I mean, on average, like a 1,000-gallon oil tank that's underground that they use when they use those oil guns to put oil in your engine. You know, on average, a week, we would pump like a foot of water off the bottom of those. That stuff goes in your engines, people. Make them use the bottles. You know, that way you're sure that this doesn't happen. Also, here's something people never check. It is so disgusting. You know, I buy a lot of used cars. I've got like 4 good used cars now, and I ran into the same problem. People never check the differentials. You know where the back wheels are? Okay, yeah, underneath the car in the middle. Okay, that's called the gearbox, the differential. People never have that topped off. And I bought good running cars that were only 5 years old, and I would check that and it would be almost empty. Fill those up, people. You know, if you knowingly have it filled up and you watch it filled up yourself, that rear end in your vehicle, okay, and they put the cap on it, you know, after they put it in. As long as you don't see any leaks back there where the insides of your back wheels are or anything, chances are you'll never have to bother with that again. But when cars are new, they generally only put a pint. You know, like I have a 2000 Ford Super Crew cab, beautiful truck I just bought about a month and a half ago. You know that rear end in that was never topped off? I could tell by the amount of dirt that was over the screw and that it had never been loosened, never been checked. And I noticed that the axle bearings were whining a little when I'd be going 40 miles an hour with the windows rolled down. Do you know there was only a pint of fluid in that? And that particular vehicle that has the tow package, do you know that holds 6 pints? And it only had a pint in it from the factory. They just want to get through the warranty period. Fill up the differential on a vehicle if you plan on keeping it. The other stupid thing is where they tell people to flush your brake system. Don't ever do that to a brake system. When a brake system is older, it's like this. If you change it, you're just going to set it up for leaks. Because the rubber parts in your brake cylinders and in your master cylinder, they're going to wear a little after they're new, okay? And if you flush that system and change that brake fluid, you're only going to set it up for leaks. Just make sure that the master cylinder under the hood is full of brake fluid. Just make sure of that and you're going to be okay. You know, just make sure that you put the right kind of brake fluid in it, or see the right kind of brake fluid being put in it. The other thing, never have a cooling system flushed. Because here's the thing about it, flush it for what? What's supposed to be in it, and how did anything get in it? Again, you're only going to set up leaks. And don't let anybody change the coolant so they can add any antifreeze if it doesn't need it. Look, I'm going to tell you how to test to make sure your antifreeze is okay. Here's how I tested this latest vehicle I just bought a month ago, a 2002 Ford. You couldn't tell, well, I've got a cataract in my left eye. You know, I can't see that good. I have to use my magnifying glass, but I'm still maintaining. Okay, here's what I did. By looking in the tank on the top, okay, I took the radiator cap off, and anytime you take a radiator cap off, make sure there's no pressure in the system. Make sure it's cold. Your face can be disfigured for life. You can look like a third-degree fire or scar victim. Watch it. Make sure a car is cold and there's no pressure in the system. The way to tell is, first off, make sure it's cold, and make sure the radiator hose, the top one, you can squeeze it easy. If it's got pressure in it, don't take that radiator cap off. But here's how you check for antifreeze. Take the radiator cap off the vehicle, okay? They all come off. There's no such thing as a sealed radiator system. All right, this is rubber fuel line. This is, I'm guessing about 7 inches of rubber fuel line. So how I bend it. They sell it in parts store. I think a foot of this is $1.50. It's rubber fuel line for cars. Okay, see, it's hollow. You know, it's got a hole through it. Just rubber. Alright, here's what you need. Buy you about a foot of this. Okay, stick it down in the radiator and go up and down so it gets full of water, and then put your thumb over the top like this and lift it up and put it in a cup, and then dab it in the water again and put your thumb over the top and then put it in the cup. That'll give you about 2 tablespoons of your coolant. Take that cup with that 2 tablespoons of coolant, put in your freezer in your house. Leave it in there overnight. The next morning, if that's frozen or it has ice floating on top, get antifreeze put in your vehicle. If that's not frozen the next morning, don't let anybody mess with it. Tell them to keep their hands off of it. Don't flush coolant systems, because if a coolant system was so full of crud that it needed to be flushed, it's obvious. I mean, somebody added something to it, like stop leak, because of a radiator leak in the past. And if I saw a bunch of gunk in a radiator, that's the first thing I'm going to assume, because the engine didn't do it, the water pump didn't do it. So somebody had to physically put something in that to make a bunch of clutter be in it. If it's mushy or debris, somebody put something in it. Now, all coolant in all systems, it can get rust in it. You know, engines that are made out of cast iron. Then you've got aluminum engines, you don't have that so much. But then the cores of the radiator are metal, you know, and you can get discoloration, but there shouldn't be any gunk or debris in a radiator unless somebody at a previous time put some junk in it. But don't let an oil change company do it, or an oil change place do it. Those are idiots. Most of those, they don't know how to change a spark plug. They're idiots. They'll screw up your car or whatever. You know, let a mechanic, you know, drain a gallon of coolant out of your vehicle and add a half gallon or a gallon of coolant to it if it needs it. But do this to find out, just rubber fuel line or whatever, you know, to find out if that's how you test antifreeze. You take 2 tablespoons of it out of the radiator and you put it in your freezer in your house. In 24 hours, it ought to look like it was never in the freezer. It's easy, people. But and start having your front end, your ball joints greased. And then if they don't have the grease fitting, go to a place and ask them if they have the needle grease injector that they put in the boots. Grease those tie rods and ball joints. Because you know that stuff will practically never wear out if you grease it. You know, it's stupid things like this is why Americans, you know, they get rid of good looking cars, can be 10 years old, but it'll be a cost factor piece of junk because of details that will nickel and dime you to death. But those are just some basics, and hope I helped y'all out there. And I'll add my opinion while I'm here about synthetic oil. Anybody that uses synthetic oil is an idiot. Let me tell you why they're an idiot. Because the marketing concept back in the late 70s was based on, it would show this commercial on TV. It was in 1978, and it would be like, drive your car from New York to California. And it showed this car going back and forth from California to New York. And it said, you can get 25,000 miles between oil changes. Now, why would any fool want to sacrifice a $5,000 engine for the sake of $20 worth of oil? What kind of a fool would do that? It doesn't make sense. The best thing to do, if you drive local, you know, you don't drive much, change your oil every 3,000 miles. If you sit in traffic jams, change your oil every 3,000 miles. If you drive on the highway a lot, you can go about 5,000 miles. That's the way to go. And use a good grade organic oil. It's cheaper and it works just as good, and it's actually better because synthetic is too thin actually. That's why when you put synthetic oil in older engines, leaks start appearing. Valve cover leaks, oil pan gasket, rear seal is very common. It's just trouble. So why do it? You're paying more money. Organic oil is the best way, but go do what you think's right on that, you know. And if anybody makes an organic oil, synthetic oil argument in my comments, I'm going to delete it. I'm not going to listen to it because it's an endless, stupid argument. You know, there are people that, you know, I've worked for several oil companies. I know the chemistry. I was in engineering. I know the chemistry of oils. I know what it really is that they're selling people, okay? But anyway, cheerio and good luck out there, peeps.